does this mean you're completely giving up hope on Washington's ability to get this done before year end?
I don't know whether it's giving up hope. I think you have more hope if you face reality, and I think what's happening in Washington, they don't face up to reality. They, like a year and a half ago when they had to face up to the debt increase, they just delayed the inevitable. And facing up to reality may be very serious, but that's what we have to do. And I think, in a way, when I say we're already over the cliff, is we're at a point of no return unless we do certain things like change our foreign policy and change our welfare system and change a whole lot. We cannot tinker with the budget. It's not a budgetary problem. It's a government problem. It's a spending problem. It's a tax problem. And since I don't expect them to do that in the next few months or next few years, we more or less have passed that point of logically doing the things we should do to bring back fiscal sanity until after we have the total crash of the dollar and the financial system, which, if we continue to do what we're doing, that's what we're going to get.
Back to Washington for a moment. You make total sense here. Hard choices have to be made. Why are lawmakers so unwilling to make these choices right now?
We have been conditioned in our educational system and our financial system by the economists to expect certain things from government, which I think are too excessive. There's a certain segment in our society that think that we should be the policemen of the world and be involved around the world, and nobody wants to talk about that. Spend $1 trillion on adventurism around the world and no cuts, and even the cuts that are so-called proposed either in the military or domestic are only tinkering around the edges, cutting a little bit of the proposed increases. So it isn't a budgetary problem. It's an attitude problem that the people in this country have expected our government to do way more than we're capable of doing, and we're dealing with it like, oh, maybe if we just adjust the budget, it's going to solve the problems. It has to do with the monetary system. As long as you have the Fed monetizing debt, believe me, the politicians are going to spend money. Because
they basically helped to fuel this, have they not? I mean, the Fed keeping interest rates this low for this long, it's like giving Washington a free pass to spend money?
Yeah, well, it's mutual. The Fed says to the Congress, don't spend so much money, but the Fed keeps monetizing the debt, and the Congress keeps getting reelected. You know who won the election? The status quo won the election. You know, everything stays the same because the elected officials take care of their constituents, but I don't think it's going to end. That's why I'm saying that I don't expect them to come up with a sensible solution. We're going to do it until it becomes so desperate that we will be forced to do it. We'll have no other choice, but we're not quite there yet.
Well, what do you consider a sensible solution?
Well, my sensible solution is following the Constitution and only doing the things authorized in Article 1, Section 8, stop fighting wars that are undeclared, defend our country, have a gold standard, sound monetary system, and start weaning ourselves off the perpetually increasing welfare state. And that's all we have to do. It's a simple little trick.
Are we running into a situation, Representative Paul, where we're seeing fewer and fewer people effectively with skin in the game, and thus there's more and more pressure on politicians to just basically do what they need to do to get the votes as opposed to really lead and fix these fiscal issues in a substantive way?
Well, I think that's true, and I think it's been that way a long time, but the big difference is the Treasury, in a real sense, is bare. It isn't like we're in the 1950s and the 1960s where economic growth could, work our way out of these problems, that you could print money forever. Printing the money right now, just what does it do? It fills the banks with excessive reserves, and they get paid to park them into the Federal Reserve. So it's quite a bit different. We're not the productive nation that we used to be. We have a lot of jobs have gone overseas. Our dollar is always weakening because prices do go up, and as long as we do that, the politicians are going to keep pushing that and trying to get away with it. But the big question is how long will the politicians be able to do this? And quite frankly, I think we're heading up to the wall where we won't be able to do it much longer.
What's the probability that we actually get a grand bargain?
At the end of this year?
Yes.
Oh, probably zero. That's why I think we're over the cliff. We're past bargaining stage because they will not address those things I just stated. They're going to try to pretend they're going to do it, like the way they handled the debt increase. last summer. That is a pretty good example. And matter of fact, the debt increase might be the big event. Come February, that might be every bit as big because they can roll those things over. They can postpone the big decisions in January, and yet that still does not remove the uncertainty. Uncertainty is a major cause of the inability for the market to get moving again, and they have to revamp it in a much more detailed fashion than they're even talking about right now.
Do you think the president is going to be able to bring Congress together back to the grand bargain issue to actually see some kind of reform before year end, or is it pretty much at this point over?
Oh, no, I think there'll be something, but it'll be very temporary. It won't be long-lasting. It won't restore confidence. It won't solve the problem. But there will be some type of reconciliation of saying we'll do this, a little bit of this, and a little bit of that. But and it may even help the marketplace, that is the financial markets, for a little while. But since it doesn't solve the problems, it'll only be temporary.
What are your thoughts on Speaker Boehner's position on the fiscal cliff? Are you supportive of his negotiating position and tactics?
Well, if negotiation means talking and trying to work things out, yeah, I'm all for this. And that's what I would want to do if I were in that type of position. I'd want to talk about, agreeing to cut wasteful spending in the domestic welfare system as well as the military system and have actual cuts. So you do want to negotiate and talk and bring people together. Good progressive Democrats always open to, a different type of foreign policy and different protection of civil liberties. And good conservatives always want to protect domestic spending and lower taxes. We should bring those groups together. So am I predicting that's what's going to happen with the Speaker and the President? It remains to be seen, but I wish them well.
Is Speaker Boehner's job safe, do you think? Any reason to think he might not be reelected by your fellow Republicans?
I would think he would be safe. I don't think, not that I know of anyway. I'm not aware of any concerted effort to change leadership right now.